Hello everyone and welcome to another Pyro Gaming video. Let's talk about seals and titles. If for whatever reason you don't know what those are, they're essentially a way for you to show everyone that you did a thing. There are seals for PvP players, raiders, Gambit, gamers, Gambit players, whatever, people that like Gambit I guess, and some general play seals as well. In this video, I'll be ranking every seal currently obtainable from easiest to get to most difficult to get. Let's go ahead and get started. I'll start with the PvP seals since there are only two, Unbroken and Flawless. Both of these are pretty difficult to get if you aren't a PvP player. I'd say Unbroken is probably the easier of the two, but still a pain in the butt since you'll need to hit Legend in 3 separate seasons. So at best, you'll get it in like a year. Flawless is also a pain since you'll need to go Flawless on multiple maps and need to get 10 wins in trials after going Flawless. So on a Flawless ticket, you gotta keep playing. I'd rank both of these seals as being the two hardest to get currently in the game since PvP is always different and there aren't really any strats for easy Flawless / Legend, aside from cheating, which if you do, you're a douche. Next, let's go ahead and get into the PvE seals, of which there are currently 10, including Gambit. I'll just consider that PvE. I'll start with the easier seals to get and work our way up to the most difficult. The easiest one by far is going to be Chosen. You can knock this seal out in a day just doing the weekly challenges and running a bunch of battleground stuff. At this point in the season, all 10 weekly challenge sets are available, so you don't have to worry about time gating or anything like that with the upgrades. However, the story mission progress might be time gated, I'm not 100% sure, but aside from that, you can get all these triumphs done very, very quickly. You will need to do some stuff in the Presage mission, but other than that, it's a very easy seal, and even Presage by itself can be done totally solo. I've got a guide for it on the channel if you want to check that out. Next up, we have Warden. This was the seal for Season 12, and you can still complete all of these triumphs and get this seal right now in Season 13, all the way up through Season 15, I believe. This is another that you can mostly do in a day or two with objectives like kill these guys and these things with these weapons and do Wrathborn hunts, which aren't bad, but they're pretty boring, to be honest. You will need to do stuff in the Harbinger mission with a fire team, though. One of the triumphs that you will need to get is have a fire team of 3 where all 3 of you have Hawkmoon equipped. That's probably going to be the most difficult for a lot of people, since you got to get people together that have Hawkmoon and do that, but aside from that, this is a very easy seal to acquire. Next up, I have Dredgen. This seal is probably one of the most common ones out there. You're going to see people wearing their Dredgen seal more than any of the other ones, in my opinion. Nothing about this seal is difficult, but it does require you to play a ton of Gambit. I mean, a literal metric shit ton of Gambit. The most difficult triumph here is probably Protect the Runner, which requires one player to dunk 75 motes without losing any in a single game. You'll likely need a fire team for that, just because the odds of you dunking 75 motes in a match-made game of Gambit with 3 other people fighting over motes is pretty unlikely. But other than that, it's just play a ton of Gambit, get Malfeasance, and play some more Gambit. It is so much Gambit, but it's an easy one to get. It's one that you could probably do in a day or two. Next up, I have one of my personal favorite seals in Cursebreaker. This one will take you at least 6 weeks to finish while you wait for each Ascendant challenge and boss to rotate around. You'll also need to destroy some eggs with Wish Ender in the Last Wish raid. To get Wish Ender, you'll need to beat the Shattered Throne, and in order to get the eggs in Last Wish, you might be able to do them solo. I'm not 100% certain if you can get the one after Morgeth solo. I'm sure there's a video out there of somebody clipping out of the map and getting to it or something like that, but you might need to do a Morgeth checkpoint to get Cursebreaker, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Overall though, this seal is mostly just doing the secret stuff in the Dreaming City, which is pretty fun in my opinion. I had a lot of fun doing this seal, and I would love to see more destination seals like this one. Next up, I have Splintered. This one is fairly easy, but it's also pretty annoying. Some of these triumphs are time gated for 9 weeks. I'm talking about the penguin ones and the drone ones. And you'll also need to finish an Empire Hunt on Master difficulty, so you will need a fire team for that, unless you're just cracked and can solo it. And you will also need to solo a Master Lost Sector on Europa, which is not that difficult, let's be honest. The most annoying triumph for me was the one that requires you to finish the public events with the Brigs with a fire team member. Destroying 50 Brigs in those public events takes a long time since there isn't a set time for those public events to spawn, and you just keep getting the stupid Fallen Glimmer excavation over and over and over and over and over. I think that one took me like 4 or 5 hours just sitting in patrol on Europa. It was stupid. I don't like that triumph. Next up, I have Descendant. This is the easiest raid seal that we have ever had, and it's not even close. If you can get a fire team together, you can get this seal pretty easily. The raid challenges are pretty basic, and honestly, the most challenging part of this seal is getting Eyes of Tomorrow to drop from the final boss. Some of you might have a hard time doing the clan-only raid triumph as well, but I'm sure there are plenty of LFG groups out there that are looking for that triumph too, so don't be afraid to reach out and go get yourself in a clan that can help you get this triumph. Next up, I have Harbinger. This one irritated me the most out of the 18 or so seals that I've completed in this game. It isn't hard, alright? It's not hard at all. You just have to do so much Altars of Sorrow, and it is such a boring activity to me. If you like Altars of Sorrow, then Harbinger is going to be easy for you. You're not going to mind it at all. But, man, if you don't like altars, this is not the seal for you. Aside from the Altars of Sorrow part, you should be able to knock this out in 4 weeks while you wait for the Wandering Nightmares to spawn around. And you will also need to solo the Pit of Heresy, which is probably the easiest dungeon to solo. And, yeah, I've got a guide for that if you want to check that out on the channel. You'll also need to do a Pit of Heresy without dying, but the Deathless/Flawless Pit of Heresy can be done with a fire team. So you get a couple friends together and you just play it super safe and let them do all the work. It's an easy way to get that triumph. Next up, I have Enlightened. The most difficult part of this one is the Stop Hitting Yourself challenge, which, to be fair, is fairly simple with the right team and loadouts, but, I mean, it's one of those that it's easy to mess up. Other than that, it's just a matter of getting a raid team together each week to do the other challenges in the raid. You'll also need to finish this raid with a fire team of just your clanmates, so you will need to be in a clan with 5 or 6 other people, depending on how comfortable you are in this raid. And you will also need to get Divinity, which is pretty straightforward. You can do that in maybe an hour or 2, honestly. Divinity is not a very long quest. Next up, I have another one of my personal favorite seals in Conqueror. I honestly don't think Conqueror is that hard. With the right team, you can finish this seal start to finish in under 4 or 5 hours if you just go from one GM to the next, to the next, to the next. I typically wait for all 6 GMs to become available before I start working on this seal, because that's about the time that I hit the right power level, because I don't play a whole lot these days. But yeah, that's what I do. I just do a little mini marathon when all 6 are available, and start to finish it takes about 3.5, 4 hours, something like that. But I have a really good group, which makes it easier. Without a good group, this seal will be a nightmare for most people, because these are hard. Things in these Grandmasters, they kill you really quickly. So it's a fun one to get, but without the right team, it's a nightmare. And lastly, we have what I consider to be the true raid seal, Rivensbane. This is probably my favorite seal in the entire game. Completing the badge for this seal will take you some time, since there are multiple drops that are RNG on top of RNG on top of RNG. The actual raid challenges aren't difficult, although Shirochi is pretty annoying, but this is a seal that could take a week, or it could take you a year if your RNG sucks, honestly. I'd say the most difficult part is definitely going to be the Petra's Run triumph, which means you have to do the entire raid without any of your fire team members dying. But after you got that Petra's Run down, it's the clan raid, and then you have to deal with the RNG. You got to get that ghost, you got to get that ship, you got to get that sparrow, you got to get that 1,000 voices, and it's RNG on top of RNG on top of RNG, man. But honestly, this is probably the seal that I see the least amount of people using when I'm in the tower, when I'm in patrol, when I'm doing matchmade stuff. I rarely ever see other Ravensbanes out there. This one is work, but I think it's worth it in my opinion. And that is going to do it for this one, guys. Drop a comment in the box below and let me know which seals you think are the hardest to get, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. But if you enjoyed this video, click like. If you're new to the channel, click subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, I fucking love you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.